Aatish. Welcome on stage, and very interested now to learn here because there's new areas for me to learn as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Jochen. And before I start on my presentation, I'll cover, what is the strategy and the roadmap, for Zycus, not just over the next couple of years, but over the next 5 to 10 years. So if we, I think we discuss about whether AI is, hype or reality, correct? You always have, the hype of peak inflated expectations, and then it comes down, correct? So right now, AI does a lot of hallucinations, correct? There's a lot of concern about AI bias and fairness and so on. So what is going to be the reality, correct? Is it going to match up to the initial hype? My view and the view of Zycus is that it will exceed the expectations of the most optimistic person over here, correct? I think what AI is really going to do, and this is just a thought I put in over there. If you look at this is the technological changes which have happened in my lifetime, correct? So you can guess my age, but you had the first, PC, which made a huge impact overall. Then you had internet, and even on procurement, correct? Both these, the entire procurement software industry started in around 98 to 2000 with the internet. The phone came in, it didn't have much impact on procurement. It was hyped at that point, mobile first procurement is going to change the world. It did not. And now you have AI. So is AI going to be like the internet, or is it going to be like, the mobile phone which came in? Again, as I mentioned earlier, the reality will be much more than the hype. So to look at a precedent, you'll have to go something which is way before this timeline. Like if you look a century back, where you had the steam engine and machine power, correct? So what steam engine and machine power did is, it replaced human muscle or, animal power over there. And it just totally transformed industry, culture, and so on. And now AI, if you could think of it as the analog for the brain, correct? So it is, what machine power did in replacing human muscle. This is going to replace at least a part of your brain, correct? Which does simple stuff over there. So I think AI is going to make a significant impact. And again, like any changes, correct? I think after the steam engine came in, it took a couple of decades before, it really made a huge impact. And the same thing would happen with AI. Now, why Zycus for AI? Because AI, everybody talks about AI. Okay? You'll have webinars, seminars every week about AI. I think the big thing is Zycus believes in AI, correct? We have always believed in AI, even when AI was not popular. In fact, the first product which we had in 2002 was, we went to a VC and we said, we have AI-powered spend analytics. And VC said, AI is a technology of a future and it will always be so. It will never be real, correct? But we persisted, it did well. And after that, there was a gap in technology development in AI. And I'm not sure how many of you know, but the 2 Nobel Prize laureates, out of that, Geoffrey Hinton, in 2012, he came up with deep learning. Again, unfortunately, it started in Europe, so he was in UK, and then he moved to US and then to Canada over there. But then Google acquired him, and the entire AI revolution which you're seeing now started in 2012. Not with ChatGPT, you had the entire transformer architecture, and after that, obviously Google sat on it, and OpenAI took that and took it to the next level. But Zycus in 2018, we recognized the value of deep learning and machine learning, and we built a lot of solutions in AI. Merlin for accounts payable, which can read invoices, respond to supplier responses, supplier questions, and so on. And now, obviously, you have Gen AI, which is coming in, and a lot of the techniques which you earlier had for machine learning are being replaced, by generative AI. So because Zycus believes in AI, from 2018 onwards, we really started creating a large team. So again, on R&D, we have, I think, the largest percentage of people working on research and development in our space. And within that, we had a large team of AI engineers, and those are valuable talent now, correct? AI engineers. So that's really helping us, because whatever we built earlier, a lot of that we moved to Gen AI, and then we also started creating new Gen AI apps. And at the same time, obviously, there is private equity transactions going on in the industry, correct? And it obviously puts a restriction long-term on R&D budgets because they would not really be looking at 10 years down what would be there. And the other thing on the left-hand side, obviously, data is the fuel for AI. But I want to emphasize on the right-hand side because when we started working on AI, we said, let us talk to our customers and really come up with what are the practical, pragmatic use cases for AI which can make an impact. So we formed an AI council, and the AI council has given us extremely valuable feedback. In fact, whatever we are doing, whether it is on intake or whether it is on agents and so on, it has come from the AI council. So I think the council which you have put on has really given us a lot of useful tips. So the first, and when we went to the AI council and we talked about all this, we are doing Merlin for accounts payable, Merlin for contracts, and I think what was suggested at that point is, what about the business users? How can you have AI really helping the casual business users who really want to get their job done with procurement and go back to their real work over there, correct? So we never thought of that, but after that we said, let's start building a conversational AI which can really help and guide business users. So it is like the front door to procurement. So we divide AI, which can be used on the left-hand side, where AI becomes the new UI. Whether you have a conversational chatbot, and someone was saying right now we have that in Microsoft Teams. 5 years from now, everything within the organization you'll be able to go to Teams and chat. I need to get my HR pay slip, or I need to order something, and everything will guide you to it. So Merlin Assist, which we have renamed it as Merlin Intake Manager, is really there for business users so that you get to that holy grail of guided procurement, correct? It can guide you in terms of what are the buying channels, what are the suppliers you should buy from, and so on. And then on the right-hand side, we'll come to that later, how can you use Gen AI for improving the efficiency, productivity of the procurement team. And on intake management, you might have heard, there are a lot of startups in this space over there who are also bringing innovation over there. But we feel over here that intake management is something which is integral to source-to-pay. So built-in is easier because imagine integrating intake management with the entire source-to-pay suite. If you think integrating purchase orders and invoice with ERPs is difficult, this is even more because you want to guide the user at every step, and that means integrating with the source-to-pay system. So later on, you will see our Merlin Intake Manager, which is a Teams-based tool for guiding business users to your business processes. So you can orchestrate your business process and your buying channels into the software so it can guide users to it. This I want to take some more time because it's very early days. I think it's already being talked about in the general AI space about agentic AI. And we think that Gen AI, it's very easy. Everybody can have OpenAI. You can embed OpenAI into the software. You can start getting contract summaries or reading an invoice and so on. Everybody will have it, correct? So all the customers will start using it. There's always change management, but in the end, everyone will have it. But we think the next wave is going to be on agentic AI. And let me explain, what do we mean by agentic AI. If you think of whether it is procurement or whether it is HR, what you're doing is not just one step. You're doing a sequence of steps to achieve a goal. So, you might have a $100 million savings target. Because of that, you would do your opportunity assessment, or you will look at tail spend and then you will work through it. So what agents really do is they focus on a larger business outcome as opposed to a fragmented niche business outcome. The agents, you could think of it as different bots or different agents which can be stitched together into a flow. So generative AI understands documents and it can generate over there, whereas agents can also take decisions. So for example, in negotiation over there, if you give it guardrails and saying, okay, if a supplier gives you this, take it over there, correct? So it can also take decisions on your behalf, initially simple decisions over there, and it'll also act in a coordinated manner. This is a bit heavy, but I just want to share in terms of the technical architecture because we are building an agentic framework which will allow us to build multiple different agentic flows. So if you start from the left, you have the source-to-pay product with all the APIs which we have. and then you will have AI models. A single agent. So an agent could be, for example, identify payment term optimization opportunities in the contract. So the agent will go into the contracts, read all those, and identify that. Then it will pass it on to the next agent. So on the right-hand side, you can see that graph for a network, correct? So you could have multiple agents stitched together into what we call as an agentic flow. So on the right-hand side, there are some examples over there, correct? Whether you negotiate tail spend, and I'll go over that in detail. But think on the left-hand side, you have an agent library. You drag and drop and create an agentic flow. Some of those agents could be reused, correct? So for example, negotiate, whether you're negotiating for price or negotiating for payment terms, could be the same agent. So with that, you could create different agentic flows. So our first step, what we have done, is really build the framework so that you could have agents and the agents could be stitched together. And we started building our first agentic flow, which is, you could call it autonomous sourcing, but it's a very basic level of autonomous sourcing. We call it autonomous negotiation agent. And this is mainly there for tail spend, where, again, like I say, AI will improve. So right now, you don't want to trust it with a $100,000 or $1 million purchase, correct? But if it's a 5,000, 10,000, you don't want to spend your procurement time on it. So what the agent would do, and we'll just see a quick glimpse of this, but this is the first agentic flow which we will be releasing over there. So I'll just have a quick video, but before I start that, I mentioned the AI Council earlier, and Hervé is a founding member of the AI Council, and that's where we got the idea for both the intake management as well as autonomous sourcing. So I'd like to call Hervé on the stage as we're going to launch our Merlin autonomous agent. Thanks, Hervé. We'll first have a quick video.
Procurement teams are drowning in low-value, high-volume purchases. A critical gap in the procurement landscape is what we call the missing middle. They represent a significant savings opportunity that has remained largely untapped, sacrificing strategic focus for tedious manual processes. Introducing Zycus ANA, Autonomous Negotiation Agent for your procurement revolution. Powered by advanced AI, ANA transforms your sourcing process while keeping you in control. It all starts in your familiar Merlin intake interface. ANA instantly understands the request and initiates a sourcing event adhering to your policies. Our AI then scans thousands of suppliers, prioritizing your preferred and pre-vetted vendors. Risk management covered. ANA automatically filters suppliers based on your risk criteria. The system crafts and distributes customized RFQs to selected suppliers. As bids roll in, ANA analyzes them in real time, comparing not just prices, but all relevant factors. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. ANA doesn't just collect bids, it negotiates. Using advanced algorithms, ANA engages in multi-round negotiations with suppliers. It considers factors beyond price, like delivery times, warranty terms, and service levels. ANA adapts its negotiation style based on supplier history and market conditions. All of this happens automatically, but you remain in control with full visibility and oversight. Finally, ANA presents you with optimized options, allowing for easy final decisions. The result? Significant time savings, cost reductions, and improved compliance. But the impact goes beyond individual transactions. ANA frees your team to focus on strategic initiatives that drive real business value. Ready to revolutionize your procurement and unlock your team's strategic potential? Contact Zycus today and step into the future of autonomous sourcing with ANA.
Thank you. Yeah. And Hervé is the Chief Procurement Officer of Heineken and a visionary in AI, correct? A lot of the feedback we have gotten from the AI Council has been very valuable. Like Hervé, to speak a little bit about AI and where you think the impact is going to be.
Yes, thank you, Aatish, and hi everyone. Very happy to be on stage co-presenting that with Aatish. And of course, in Heineken, we really keen to be constantly at the forefront of everything. It's a super aggressive, competitive environment out there with the soft drink industry, the spirit industry, the beer industry, even the food industry, the big multinational companies. And we see a lot of multinational companies starting the race of AI. So of course, in Heineken, we're super interested in to be the front runners.
Yes.
And then with the partnership of Zycus, it makes us an ideal platform to succeed on that. And what you presented is just mind-blowing and then very energizing to try to step into. Of course, that tail end spend, right, is something that we rarely explore in a structured way. Big multinational companies tend to look at the part of the spend where the money is, but we're leaving on the table so much. And this type of tools will be a fantastic addition to what we do today. So very pleased to be on stage with you, Aatish, and
Thanks
for that initiative. For sure.
Thank you, Javi. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Next, we have a customer from North America, DSRO, who's also partnering on the AI. If you can just have the video play, please.
As a VP of Procurement and Strategic Sourcing at Acero, I'm always finding ways to streamline and optimize our sourcing process. When Zycus presented to me the autonomous negotiation agent, I was really skeptical, to be honest. I never thought that AI could manage the negotiation process. And after reviewing the product, what I was able to see is that it has great capability to, in real time to introduce negotiations strategies. And also the capability to manage thousands of events, both sourcing and negotiation events in parallel. So definitely this is a game changer for everyone in the procurement area, because it's not only an automation tool. This is also a way to identify potential savings. And for the Acero, we find it very attractive because we are in a process to implement a hybrid operational model. And this product could potentially help us to be more efficient and productive on the tactical spend management. Because with this automation and this potential, definitely this could improve the way we manage, the low spend and high volume transactions, and release some of the time for both end users and buyers during this process. For organizations that are looking after efficiency and productivity, I believe A&A is going to be a great fit, because it's not only a productivity tool, it's a savings maximizer.
So that was DSRO, Ivan. And Agentic is a big transition for us, as a company over there, and a marketing team has put together something really creative. If you can have them on stage. So, while they're putting that up, correct, let me share in terms of where is the vision of where Agentic would really go, correct? So the first agent which we have is autonomous negotiation agent over there. But you could think of an agent as a role, correct? So you have a buyer, correct? Many of you would have shared service hubs, or where your buyers would really be doing a lot of the transactional stuff. So what autonomous agent kind of mirrors that particular role. So you could think of different roles. As Jeffries mentioned earlier, you could have the role of accounts payable, correct? Now, rather than just reading the invoice or replying to suppliers, you could think of an agent which will do all the steps, including reaching out to internally if there's an invoice discrepancy and so on, and really assist so that the accounts payable can start focusing on more strategic stuff, correct? Whether it is managing the cash flow and so on. So you would have agents, for example, in supplier onboarding. Now here is an agent of mine, correct? So 1 plus, I won't say 1 plus 0.1, correct? So the agents are going to do tactical work for me. And I think, again, it was talked about 80-20, correct? So if I have 8 of these agents, correct, 80% of my work is really reduced over there. So that's the concept of agents, where the agent will not just assist you, but it will do the work for you. And again, this is not, so this is the first thing which we're releasing. The change will take a long time to really permeate across the entire industry, but this is something which is going to happen here in procurement as well as across, the entire AI space. Now, as we are moving on to this big inflection point with AI and agentic flow, we also took the time to really refresh our brand. And our brand should really reflect the direction which we are going in. If you can quickly share that. So this is our new brand, a logo over there, which shows that as you go with procurement AI, you should target more deep value, correct? Rather than just the low-hanging fruit and the easy stuff. And again, I said, obviously we start with easy stuff, but this is the direction where we really want to go. Thanks for the team for putting up this, and if you can get this off stage now. So on agentic, if you look at the value which you can get, correct? Right now, AI, it's helping the most with students. The grades are improving because of ChatGPT. But I think once you have agents really coming across, for procurement, you'll be able to unlock more and more deep value within procurement and really get to that stage where you could have people focusing only on strategic tasks. So with this, I'd like to, unveil our new thing. If you can have the lights on deep value procurement AI. So you have, like the iceberg over there, correct? And this is a Gen AI generated iceberg, but so you have 10% on top over there and a lot of deep value which you can uncover. And obviously, you would have seen the book, which you had received, yesterday. But we're really investing on educating our customers and providing different tools, because AI technology will always race far ahead than the change management, right? So change management is always a challenging thing. So we want to also put in our 2 bits over there in helping the community. This is a real concern with AI, correct? In fact, Europe also already has passed, an AI law. So the AI data security is very, very critical because you really don't want, enterprise information really being, shared anywhere. So one of the things we did, and we are proud to say we were the first, partner in the space with Microsoft. What that allowed us is, access to the technology, access to some of the models which they have. So Zycus and Microsoft announced a partnership for Gen AI, and we have a senior leader in Europe who will be presenting later from Microsoft. But what that has also helped us is, Azure OpenAI is what we use. That has a lot of security layers, so that the data which you have, whether your data, your queries, do not get shared anywhere else over there. So, AI security is a concern, AI hallucinations are a concern, but these are things which can be addressed and will be addressed. Now, one thing I don't want you to go back with the impression is that Zycus also always talks about the future, correct? You have current problems today, there will be tickets open today, correct, which we need to work on and so on. So one of the things which we have done is make sure that our innovation team is really separate, from, we call the operations team over there, correct? Even within engineering. And as we work with very large customers, I want to take this opportunity to thank, our partners, across the globe, correct? And it's not just the global SIs, correct? Because whenever you have large digital transformation, for the strategy, for the change management, to define the value KPIs. They're really very, very useful. And we also have, partners on the technology side also, correct? Like, Transformate, for payments or web expenses, which is again procurement, correct? But it is travel and expense over there. So I think these partners are really very critical. And now we have had a very good working relationship with these partners. Now, coming to what we are doing for customer success, correct, on a continuous basis. So I'll just go over these: Gen AI, App Extend, as well as value engineering. So like in US, they always say, correct, you need to drink your own Kool-Aid, correct? So we can talk about AI to everyone, but we have to adopt it internally. And in fact, in Zycus, we have put very aggressive targets. I have a review with all the teams every month in terms of the AI being used internally. And to date, we have gotten 15%, and the target is by November is 20% efficiency across all the teams over there. Now, the way we are doing it is, we have multiple Gen AI agents which we use internally, but which help you. For example, during implementation, correct? Whether earlier uploading master data would take a lot of time, or workflow uploading would take a lot of time. Now you have AI which can do that really fast. You give natural language and it can convert it into your workflow. On the right-hand side, it's more technical, but if you have issues, correct? AI can automatically spot it, identify it, automatically create a triage, and really help in faster issue resolution. So I think AI is really helping. And one thing I'd like to call out is also Merlin Help. So, we're going to improve it. We have gotten feedback from our customers that right now it gives answers about the product. How do I do this? But what we're adding also is adding customer business process specific documents, correct? So a supplier, if they come in, they could, get feedback on, for this customer, how do I do X, Y, Z? So again, Gen AI will continue to invest not just in the products, but also internally, for, better quality, faster throughput. The next, we spent, this is more on the technical side, so it never creates that wow thing, but it is really picking up significantly right now, which is App Extend. And let me take a minute to explain that. What App Extend is you could create apps which sit within the Zycus UI. So we have multiple APIs and a UI API, so you could add new functionality within the app. So we have our voice of customer process, but there would always be something which is very specific to an industry, maybe to a region over there, or specific to a customer. So with App Extend, right now we, I think, just north of 100 plus apps. So you could add more functionality within the UI with App Extend. The goal, right now we are not there, but next year we want to get all the documentation and everything to a level where we can hand it over to our partners, so they could build apps for you, or even to your IT teams, correct? So they can start building apps. The third is value engineering. We have teams on value engineering. Our entire goal, yesterday I was discussing with Hervé, said we need to start focusing on the metrics coming out of the system, not in terms of standard reports, but what are the value which you can have, correct? What's your spend under management over there? What's your cycle time and so on. So value engineering is something both as a discipline as well as adding more dashboards within the product, so that we can start stepping back, because even if you're talking AI has to move the needle, correct? Something has to change, your productivity per FTE, or your savings have to increase, and we want to start measuring it more scientifically. The last, I'll just take a few minutes on that. We thought this was going to be a big wave on sustainability. Europe is definitely way ahead. In US, because of politics, it's still going back and forth over there, and we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks over there. But long term, I think there's no going back from it, correct? So every hot summer, every hurricane, every cyclone, you'll be reminded of this. So Zycus, we have started building. The market is still not there, but you started building, solutions for sustainability. And here, the reason why we are doing it along with our source-to-pay software is that procurement, as Jeffrey's mentioned, most of the emissions of companies are in scope 3, correct? And scope 3 is with suppliers. And you are the custodian of suppliers. So whether it is measurement, right now a central team might be doing it, but later on it will come down to procurement, and also how do you really optimize it, correct, or find new sources of supply. But what is Zycus doing in sustainability? We have built a suite of products called as Lighthouse. And this is, by the way, the only products which we have in Zycus, which the customer would be able to buy even if they don't have a complete Zycus source-to-pay or they don't have Zycus source-to-pay products. So it is targeted for both procurement, so it's integrated with our source-to-pay suite, but also for the corporate sustainability team. So, there are, we consider it as a wheel, correct? First you measure, so you measure, your carbon. The second is because of regulations or for, for your investors and consumers, you publish your reports. And the third is how do you really improve? So the first thing which we have is carbon analyzer. We have AI in our spend analytics tool. We modified that, and the same thing can take transactions in the spend data and automatically identify not just at a spend level, but you could also measure carbon emissions at a activity level, correct? You could create some models around it for direct materials. So this emissions are all across. It's not just indirect versus direct. So carbon analyzer would help you measure your scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 in a more automated manner, year on year as you have to report it. The second is the reporting. In Europe, you have CSRD, CBAM, and many other laws, or even for CDP and so on, people would be reporting on a regular basis. So we have used AI here. You report it once, and that same report can really be filled up in different standards. And the last, which would definitely be of interest to procurement, is a green supplier network. What we are doing over here is the ability for you to interact with suppliers to get product level emissions, and also preceded. Right now we have a small base of around 4,000 companies, but a lot of it is published, so getting all the emission intensity of your key suppliers, correct, rather than using just category based or spend based average emissions, and the ability to also interact with your suppliers on development plans for reducing emissions, or you could call it as a glide path to net zero. But again, as I said, the market for this is early, but we are sure it will, at some point really, take off, and we want to be ready for that. So with that, I'd like to, end my presentation. Thank you.